Hey, what's up, everybody? Video 44 coming into another video. All right, so I figured I'd do another Laker defending session, create a little content here. Los Angeles Lakers. Just thinking about trying to be positive. Of course, if you've been following my videos, ain't been a whole lot of that, but you'd expect that. I'm a real Laker fan and don't really like losing at all, but definitely not in this fashion, certainly not this time of year. So we're all trying to cope around here while still having balance to understand there's a lot more basketball to play and Denver has a lot more work to do. But what's really in my mind right now is just the schedule. Truth be told, it's the schedule. And I think about how that correlates with how they want players. The schedule, let me clarify, the schedule of these playoffs is made it so that there's only one game in between each game for the last round, and this round as well. So basically these two rounds we've played, the Lakers haven't had much rest at all. And I look at that as something that was done to us, or anybody else who would have been able to play out that schedule on this half of the playoff picture. Basically, to me, it seems like it's a psychological mind screw for the deterrence of load management. It's like, okay, you guys want to load manage all season long. We're going to make it so that you're going to have no rest throughout the playoffs when you need not miss games. You're going to have 1 day's rest between each series for 2 straight series, between each game for 2 straight series. 2 straight series of playoff basketball in the second half of the Western Conference battle. Because they ain't going to do it in the first round, but they do it in the second and the third. It's just a mind screw, man. And what it's meant to do is make you feel as if you should never load manage throughout the regular season ever again, because it's not going to properly prepare you for what could happen in the postseason. That's what's in my head right now. So I don't know if I'm onto something or not. It's just me talking, but I just really think that the Lakers have been screwed over in this situation. I really do. When you look at LeBron James and how and Anthony Davis and how their bodies are used to not playing every game. Well, Anthony Davis more so. He's not been We've load managed him and dealt with injuries and things of that nature that have made it so that he had to miss games. This is just the worst type of schedule for a player who's used to that. You know what I mean? And you consider how bad he's playing. You look at the altitude, and it's like he gave us 40 in the last game, but he had 1 night, 2 nights sleep after that, and then he has to go right back out there and be responsible for everything, defensively and offensively, forced to win. It's just like, yo, if he would have had just a couple days rest in between these games like normal situations, body recovers, get back out there, probably give you a better look. So it's just like, I feel like the schedule has been just as much up against us as the Denver Nuggets has. And I think our guys being, older and some of them younger, just the same. A guy like Austin Reeves he's still working on his conditioning in terms of getting used to everything that's out there for him to have to deal with. This time of year, dealing with altitude, he ain't ready for that. You know what I mean? So it's just, you're seeing it. Even though guys played well, I'm going to say Austin Reeves played great in the second game. I'm thinking more so about the first game when he was struggling a little bit. And it's just altitude, man, on top of a really good team that you can't afford to take plays off against. Some of the habits that we have as a unit tend to play into their hands just in general. So a lot of that stuff is definitely not helping us. They're capitalizing on missed shots, as we always talk about shots going the other way when we miss them. Long-range shots and things of that nature that just don't get rebounded. They're really turning those into transition buckets. So you got to give them all the credit in the world. I've had a hard time with that, but it just is what it is. They're doing their job, and they're up 2-0. And on top of that, you just have all the other stuff to look at. So one of my biggest concerns, or not concerns, but gripes, is that I think our team is better from the bench side of things. I just think we have a much better, deeper team. But this idea that we're supposed to only use 8 guys and shrinking your bench is something our coach legitimately is doing, and I just feel like it's leaving our guys with less rest in altitude. With the schedule being that it is as it is, it just plays against you, man. The other team has a physical advantage given the fact that they're used to altitude, and so you've got to try to make up for that by throwing more at them than they're able to throw at you, since they only want to use 8 people. And in my thing is, if you're having a hard time strategizing against the 8 people they're using, that's probably what's going on, Then maybe you don't feel like you want to use everybody. Maybe that puts you at a schematic disadvantage. But at the same time, my argument is you still got to weigh that against the the fatigue that your team is faced with all of this going on. So I just don't think we use our team right. When you know damn well you're deeper than the other team, you got to use everybody. You got to use your Troy Browns. You got to use your Wenyen Gabriels. You got to use your Shaq Harrisons. You got to use all these people, man. And because we're not able to do so, we dumb it down to what they are. They're forced to use 8 people. They don't want to use anybody else. I can't stress that enough. And the only way we were going to really beat them is if we were able to either expose the rest of their bench or balance out ours so that our guys didn't get overused. You know, and that's just something Darvin Ham didn't believe in because he's from the coaching school of let's not pay attention to logic and let's apply the formula garbage. So, you know what I mean? You lose with the formula. You lose with the formula. And that's what we did. We lost with the formula. Wenyen Gabriel should have been on the floor. Rui Hachimura should have been given the ball more. Austin Reeves should have been showcased more. LeBron James should have been sat. I can't even speak. Sat. He should not have been shot. He should have been sat. Well, Lord have mercy. He should have been sat so that we could have put an end to some of those three-point shooting woes and ultimately some of the missed layup woes and some of the things that ultimately just came from him not having any rest. So that's really what it came down to. You got to rest the guy so that he can not be too tired out there, so that he's not making bad decisions and thinking about it and all kinds of other stuff. We got to understand something here. LeBron James is still the player that we saw have that meltdown in Dallas. Okay? In the finals. Whatever the hell that trait was, that's in him. So we got to manage our guy just like anybody else. When he's not on, you got to be a coach and sit him down, coach. Not shoot him. Definitely don't shoot the man. Just sit him down and allow him a couple minutes rest to regather himself. You don't have him at 40 minutes in the game where he's struggling like this. You keep him at 30 minutes in the game like this, and you weigh that against the rest that he's going to be able to give you in game, the energy that he'll give you in game 3 as a result of giving you, having more rest tonight. Just like you do with everybody else you don't use. That's the formula that we haven't used because we've been so paranoid of what Jokic can do to us that we haven't trusted that we can attack him in a million different ways that we haven't, and that would put him at a disadvantage because he doesn't have that option. And so it's just like when you strategize for your formula and you don't zoom out and just use your head to adjust to what it is that you can actually do based on your strengths, and you really never actually do have those strengths. They're never realized. And so I think that's what the Lakers are dealing with through two games in this series, and I think we can rectify that. But we have to extend this series. You know what I'm saying? We drop game 3, and this is going to be a situation where we're fighting against demoralization, and I don't think our personalities are built to fight against demoralization. We got fight in us, but no, demoralization is going to be something we probably cower to based on some of the traits I've seen. And so we gotta fight. This is our game 7. Game 3 is game 7. Game 3 is game 7. And game 4 is game 7. Game 5 is game 7. Game 6 is game 7 based on the altitude and the lack of rest. Every game's game 7. Because you do not want to play game 7. You know what I'm saying? And you're already down 0-2. So essentially what I'm saying to you is first you got to figure out how to keep a lead. Forget all that other stuff. Find a way to keep a lead. Then win a game. Then win another game. That's how that has to go, because we can't be talking about we got to win out 5 straight. We can't seem to keep a damn lead against the Denver Nuggets, who don't play us a lick of defense. So it's like, man, look, we're going back home. We're going to have the crowd. We shoot better at home. We haven't lost at home. Denver hasn't lost at home. So certain things are just staying true. I don't know that Denver can shoot the same way in our building. I don't think we're going to play as lethargic in our building, even though it's on 1 day's rest. I hope that we'll be not too, exhausted to play well against them. And at some point in time, they're going to start facing fatigue as well, because they're only using 8 people. That's why extending the series is so important to me, because if we buy ourselves time, the more time we, extend this series, the more time we give ourselves, obviously, we survive first. But second of all, we force them into the feeling of fatigue when they start feeling the fullness of having 1 day's rest in this trash schedule as well. They didn't have that problem in the first series or the second series. They're going to start going through that as we speak. Now, we're going to be much more exhausted than them, but they're going to start getting tired because they ain't getting no rest either. So that's going to be big if we get to a game 6 situation, assuming we can keep a lead and win a game. if we can get that far, I think we'd be looking at a situation where if they don't start using some of their other bigs, they're going to wear Jokic down themselves. They're going to start seeing Jokic have some issues like LeBron's having, maybe not in the same way, but one day's rest is bad for all bodies, especially big ones. Going back and forth between altitude, up and down, watch. You'll see what I'm talking about. Because it's not going to be two games. It's going to be like, okay, you got to fly to Denver, and then you got one day, and then you got to play game 6, and you got one day, and you got to play game 7, and it's going to be the flights. And I'm telling you, both of those teams are going to be overly exhausted by then. Overly. Both teams. So that Denver better win game 3 too. I'm telling y'all, this is that real. Because they're going to start feeling the fullness of that schedule. And going up and down. You see, it's one thing to have altitude be in your favor. It's another thing to have to keep going back and forth. I'm telling y'all, that's going to wear both these teams down. And I think that favors the Eastern Conference team. Jimmy, Jason Tatum, they're going to be running into an exhausted basketball team, whoever they are. Especially if it's Denver, since Denver only want to use 8 people. I'm telling you. I am telling you. I don't care if you're a Denver fan or a Laker fan. You need to hear me clearly. Y'all got to go into y'all benches, yo. If you want to have any chance of beating the Eastern Conference team. And trust you me. Denver, I want you to win the championship if you beat us. And so does most of Laker Nation, because you're probably going against the Celtics. And it means just as much to us that we win it, that they lose it. So we're going to be the biggest Denver Laker fans you've ever seen in our lives if you beat us. Because I don't like the Heat anyway. So go ahead and get you a championship, Jokic. That's how I feel about that if y'all get us. But it comes down to y'all going to be too exhausted to do so. And the Celtics going to hoist 18, and it's going to be doom and gloom for everything. It's going to send the Lakers into a spiral, I promise you, if the championship goes to Boston. We need Denver to win the championship if we're going to lose it, and we need to win it if we can get out of this damn series. So that's really what it comes down to. I don't want fatigue to hurt either one of these damn teams, and that's why I'm addressing it this way. You got to use more of that bench. Darvin, you got to use more of that bench. Mike, or it's going to hurt you in the next round. That's not something I'm confused by. You can see the evidence in our team. We went through the schedule in the last series. That's what I'm trying to tell you. They went 6 games. You see what Bron looked like. He can't make a damn layup. I know what I'm talking about. Y'all being set up. Both teams are being set up. Just like Golden State got set up in the last series. Just like we've been set up in both series. Denver's getting set up in this one to lose in the finals. And I don't want to see it happen. Play more players. BDL44. Thank you all for watching.